to ask, when you were asking Ravi that question, I was very keen to know that, were you scared that will she be judged? Because what she's written, what Anusha has written in her book is so today and believable and so real. Because quite frankly, we will all say that let's not talk about it and oh my God, you know, but that's the reality and that's the hormones and that's the age, and if they're not, I mean, if first love is not going to happen then when? I mean, it's, you know, you need to go through that first love to go into the second, third, fourth and whatever.
Sonali, you're just going to make a lot of people who haven't experienced first love feel really bad.
But you must.
And look at their watches. And, you know, get on Tinder and make bad decisions. But let's get to the part where you're saying that, you know, apart from the fact that it was difficult, I want to pose this question to both of you. How difficult has it been to write the books that you have written? Anusha, would you like to answer first? And not just like balancing school and life, but just the whole act of writing a book.
This one was surprisingly fun. So I didn't think it was very difficult as such, because I could relate so well. I knew what I wanted to write, and it was also good because I had a very clear picture of what I wanted at the end. So I had a lot of fun writing this book, and the only thing was I was very particular about not writing certain parts when I was not in the right headspace. So I got a lot of like, you know, I finished it fast from my parents, but it was like, no, I'm gonna take a little while over this.
The part where Ravi says that you don't listen to what they're gonna say, is that, but it worked out for her, see?
It always works out, but then, you know, their parents.
After that, you know, like in another 4 or 5 years, my son is 11, he's just turned 11 now. He's going to be 16, by then I'll be on Ravi's side. So right now I'm on her side, so yeah, I have time still.
Anusha, when you were writing, were there any other books that you sort of had in mind as you wanted to, that you were inspired by? Who were you reading at the time that you were writing the book? Who do you read normally?
I just want to put it out there that this has nothing to do with John Green, like nothing. Okay, and I would not like to be associated with that at all. But answering the other part of your question, I wasn't reading any such novel. I think that helped though, so that because I could then that didn't bias me as such, and I go through phases where I like different kinds of books. But my top favorite is obviously J.K. Rowling, Rick Riordan, and Cassandra Clare to an extent. If you don't feel like writing at a point, if you go back and read them, you feel like you also want to write something as potent, then you start writing again.
Because your first book is also, you know, I think it was inspired by these fantasy authors that you love and you read. What is it about writing fantasy that is so difficult and yet is rather unappreciated in mainstream publishing industry?
Honestly, I think,
especially because you didn't choose Hindu mythology.
Yeah, I should have though. I think my grandma hates me forever for that. But I think I picked fantasy not because of anything else, but because it was easy for me as a 12-year-old to create my own world rather than write something in the real world. Because honestly, it's more complicated. I mean, I can just do away with all the problems in the new world however I wanted. So I think that was the main force behind writing a fantasy. You know, so it was a Norse. I think I picked because I was reading something about Norse that time.
Now that you've written something, now that you've written something in real world also, what do you think now? What was easier, real world problems or the fantasy world problems?
Definitely real world. Because now I don't know how I wrote that book, honestly. When people ask me, what is your book about, I don't know what to say. There was a school interview where I was asked, what is that book about? And I stumbled and finally, I don't think anybody knew what that book was about. Because I'd forgotten what it was about. And right now it's much easier to talk about this book, not because I've just written it, but because I know exactly what I was writing.
I think when in doubt, when people ask you what your book is about, I think it's best to resort to 2 words: buy it. You know, and that answers all the questions.
For multiple people, I just Google it or buy it.
Sonali, are you, now that your first book's down and the response has been so favorable and so good, have you thought about writing a second, but maybe not non-fiction, maybe fiction?
I don't think I can write fiction. I really feel that. I love reading fiction and I love living in a fictional world, etc., etc. And I go into it for days and kind of don't want to come out of it. But I feel it's very difficult to write fiction, and I don't know how you do it, but it's really difficult to write it. It's lovely to read it. Having said that, I'm at that phase right now where I did the first book and it has come out, and I'm not sure if I'm happy that it's appreciated, and hence they want me to write another book, and now I'm feeling the pressure that I need to write another book, and I don't know if I should feel the pressure, so all that is going on. So I'm still kind of grappling with that, because I hadn't really thought beyond this book. I hadn't thought I would be writing a book as such. That's happened. So now I need to start thinking about that and say that, okay, what am I going to do now? But I don't feel like fiction, definitely not.
I'm going to pose a question to both of you, because I think one should take advantage of the opportunity that we have two incredibly successful people on stage, with a slight age difference. But what I wanted to ask you...
I like the slight part.
What I wanted to ask you both about is that, do you find that it has become increasingly important for women, no matter whether they're starting at 16 or whether they're starting later in a new field, to be heard, to be taken seriously? I mean, if all of us have been following the news and watched the Democrat and Republican debate, women, it's just an example of how many times, how frequently, how overtly and insidiously women get interrupted when they want to have a voice, when they want to speak, when they want to be heard. And here we have two women who I think have been trying to have their say in two different ways. So what would you like to say about that? I know I promised Anusha no heavy questions, but you wrote a book, this is going to happen to you. Even with parenting,
I think it's still not easy to be heard, and quite frankly, I grew up not even, we were three sisters, so I actually grew up without that brother and that, so we kind of had a, so to say, voice in that sense. But as you grow older, you realize how little a voice you actually have and have had, and it's really not too different even now. Now, because it still takes me so long to understand that I have a voice and I should use it. We are so somewhere in our subconscious psyched into feeling, first of all, you're feeling guilty about everything. And you're happy you're guilty, you're sad you're guilty, you want to do something. It's just, and as I see my niece now, I have a son and I have, my sister has twins, a boy and a girl. And we were just 2 days back, we were talking about it, and we were saying that, you don't even, she's saying, I need to put in an extra effort to make my daughter understand that it's okay, you don't have to do this if you don't want to do it. Because everywhere around us, it's so set into us that, even without intending to, everybody is kind of telling the girl what to do, how she should talk, how she should behave, how she should respond to something. And it's not that frequently told to the boy. And so as a mother, she really needs to work harder. And because they're twins, she can see the difference. And we were just having a discussion about it, that we don't even realize it. It doesn't occur to us to think that, do I have a voice? Now when you think about it, you realize that no, not really. And that's because I'm not using it that well also. So we need to stand up and say that yes, my voice is there, hear it. And we need to support each other. The women need to support each other on this a lot more than we've been doing.
Anusha, I'm just going to make it a little easier, because taking off on what Sonali was saying, I think you've done a remarkable job with the voices of the young girls in your book. And that, I think, you just said that no, I don't want to talk about it right now, let Sonali answer first. But I think that is a remarkable achievement. What were you thinking about when you were writing these fairly complex characters? Because teens are complicated, teenage is it's a landmine, you don't know where you take a step and get blown up, and then you gather your limbs and hope they're all the same size and then move on in life. So when did you, what were your concerns when you were writing these extraordinary, remarkably young but so mature young female characters?
Honestly, I just wanted to make them as real as possible. Because what feedback I got in my previous book was that my characters were always too white or black. So the good people were always perfect and the bad people were always bad. But in reality, humans are not like that at all, right? You're grey. So what you do defines whether you're good or not, but you're still grey. So I think that was the entire thought process behind making these characters. Because and it was more fun to work with these characters because they did have flaws. You know, it was fun writing them because they are not perfect. So I could focus on their character development and all of that. So that was the biggest thing. So whoever was bad was the villain, whatever. It was not bad. It was not black. So the good writing is always when you can sympathize with the villain too, right? Because if you know he's bad and it's easy to hate him, then it doesn't make for complex reading.
I think that
at
deserves
16 she knows that there's a lot of grey.
Exactly.
That's very early to know it. I was clueless.
Sonali, I'm 32. I know there's a lot of grey.
It looks good.
So I'm going to open the house to questions for Anusha and Sonali. Would anybody like to ask a question?
Hi Anusha, your decision to write a book, how much of it was because your own father is a best-selling author? If you had not been, would you have been still writing or would you have been confused teenager thinking what to do?
I'm still thinking what to do, but I'm pretty sure I would have got into the field at some point. I think it was easier for me because I knew that the writing industry, which seems so mysterious from outside for a person who's not in it, it's not that difficult to get into it. Like, I know the process. So I think it was made easier by the fact that he was writing at that time, but I'm pretty sure I would have done it at some point. So.
Thank you.
Anybody else with questions? Well, I'll just pass the mic behind.
Hi Anusha. So while I was sitting here, I was just wondering about the story behind the cover. So is it something that I get to know when I read the book, or I was just like curious about the cover? It looks interesting, but what's it all about?
Actually, it was a good cover. Actually, that's it. Like, there was no behind it as such. I didn't want the cover to be overly depressing because I think the book is a good balance between heavy and light. So we experimented with multiple washes and how the colors looked and stuff, and I think it was just to make the book slightly light, and so that people can pick it up without thinking it's going to be very depressing.
That's a 16-year-old. Now, somebody else would have given a huge layered response to it and said, the story behind it is this. Here's the truth for you. This is it. You know what? It looked bright, it looked lovely. I thought it would look good on the shelf and people will pick it up for you. Fabulous. I think that deserves a round of applause.
Hi Anusha, I'm Kabir. At your first book launch, you were asked a question about how you balance academics and stuff. And I think it was in the 7th when you got your first book. So I mean, 5th to 7th standard, what academics, right? Now this book has come out in the 11th standard. Okay, and I've been with you, it's very tough. How are you coping?
Okay, so 10th, you have to agree, it wasn't that hard.
No, it was very hard.
It was not hard because honestly, all teenagers are disorganized, but you learn to become organized by 10th. You have to. So it was ICSE. So if you spend 10 years on a board, you know how to deal with things.
Guys, acknowledge the brilliance of the author. She found 10th easy.
Go away! I think that's the first time you've been nice to me in public.
False.
Are there any other pertinent questions?
Hi Anusha, Abhishek. Hey, so, okay, how many characters in your book are based on some people in your life, like real life characters?
2. Honestly, 2. And the others are all a combination of a lot of people I know. But 2, one of them is in the crowd. Do you want me to say the name? Okay, forget it. Yeah. So,
We'll guess it up.
no, Aditya.
I'll just spoil it.
He's Nikhil, and he's a brilliant person. So it was great fun writing his character. I owe it to you. You guessed it pretty fast though, who it was.
We have three questions for Sonali from our Crossword readers, and if you could just answer them for us. Very book-related questions. Firstly, apart from you, of course, is there anybody else in the family that's an author?
No, not at all. So nobody in my family was an actor, and then now nobody in my family is an author. I seem to be doing it all by myself.
All right. And would you, I mean, how much is your son geared towards reading? Would you like him to be a writer someday?
I don't know about writer, but I would love him to read, which is proving to be quite a task right now. So, in fact, Ravi has launched this lovely site, Enchantico, and I subscribed to it, hoping that my son will get interested and will start reading a lot more. But it's come down to me saying that, you know what, 10 minutes you have to read aloud to me every day. So we're actually kind of doing that right now. I've realized that from school it's compulsory to get these fiction books so that he reads, and he's actually picking up books that have been turned into movies already. He brings them home, and I caught him doing that, and then downloads the movie, watches the movie, and prepares the report on it by doing that. So I don't know what to do anymore, you know, I'm really frustrated with that part of it. So yeah, he loves movies.
So to sort of give this a constructive direction, is there any particular genre maybe you think he can start off by reading, or a genre that you like reading?
I love fantasy fiction, so it's fairy tales for me, and I still read those. I love those, and every time I go through a stressful period, hard work period, I go into like about 10-12 days of binging on fantasy fiction, and literally binging on them. So I'll go back to back reading those books. I love it, come out refreshed and face the world again. So literally for me that's what it has been. Having said that, there are a lot of various genres that I read, and it depends on what catches my interest at that point of time. But I always mention this, that you know, since I became a mother, the reading habit has kind of become a bit dodgy, because the moment you start reading something heavy, and you know, it's like you have 10 minutes now to read and then to go back to it, and by the time you catch up on where I was, that time is gone and you're busy with something else. So, but he's growing up, and I think I'm getting back, I'm getting there again. Where he's concerned as to I'm just happy if he reads. Whatever he reads is great. As long as he reads, I'll be happy, because I love books, and I have found my father was in the government services, so we would get transferred every 2 years. My best friends have been my books, and I felt I could relate to a lot of stuff. I think mentally I could deal with a lot of stuff because I was reading so much. So I feel that I would love him to have that. So
thank you, Sonali. Anusha, any closing thoughts? We do have one more question.
Hi Anusha, congratulations first of all for Never Gone. Taking the book Never Gone, have you written it for the young adult or the adult? And going forward in the future, are you going to make this into a series, or would you be looking at writing something else completely different from what this is?
So this is for my age group. So, and I honestly wouldn't touch this book. I think everybody got closure, and I wouldn't want to disturb that, because honestly I hate it when you have a great book and then they make a sequel, like you end their lives at a very happy note, and then you again bring all sorts of rubbish into their lives. So I would not do that to my characters. I think, but I would like to explore this genre more, and yeah, so if I write more, I'll probably do it in this genre.
And in the future, what are we going to look forward to?
Nothing yet. I think I'm going to focus on IB for a while.
Wonderful.
Alright. That's it? Okay, Anusha. Any closing thoughts? I was just about to ask you about the future right now. So like you just said, you're going to concentrate on your IB, but anything at all at the back of your mind, in the pipeline, anything that you'd like to sort of eventually in time sort of flesh out?
I think I just want to say that just in order to be a good writer, I don't think you need to have great vocabulary or great sentences or just the very flowery method of writing, because there's a great huge difference between good writing and good storytelling. And I think anybody can do it if they wanted to. I just want to put it up.
All right, that's a wonderful message to end on. Thank you so much, Anusha. A round of applause once again. Thank you, Sonali, for being here with us. Anusha, thank you so much for giving us such a wonderful insight into her life and the book. And we're very, very happy to let everybody know that Anusha is more than happy to sign copies of her books. Those who haven't got their copies yet, we have lots of them available at the bookstore at our cash counter. Do get it billed and signed so that it's easier for you before you move out. So thank you very much once again. Thank you, Anusha, Sonali. Thank you, Anushree. Thank you very much.
जो इंसाइट है इनटू ह्यूमन रिलेशनशिप्स वो बहुत ही अमेजिंग है एंड बहुत मैच्योर है. सो आई रियली एंजॉयड रीडिंग हर बुक ट्रेमेंडसली.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, I think half of the great, the glamour of this event was her, in fact, and I'm so glad that, seriously, yeah, I'm so glad that I got to meet her because she's a lovely person, and it's been so nice to know her, and let's stay associated.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, I like it.
Okay, Sonali, what do you think the best part about the book?
I think the best part about the book is that she has not shied away from what the real feelings are. It's very, very real. She has not kind of said that what will the world think, what will the society think, will my parents be okay if I talk like this, will I be judged for this? And that, I think, for a 16-year-old to go out and talk about relationships and talk about it in depth is very, very brave. She's put herself out there, and that, I think, is the best part about the book. And that's why I've liked the book so much, because it's so real.
Okay, Sonali, apart from this something out of the box, what's happening on professional front was there in the pipe?
Sorry?
What's happening on professional front?
Professional front, I'm on a holiday right now. I want to take a break. I think the last 2 years, after saying I'm not working, I did a fiction show, non-fiction shows. So I did not realize, but I, without really kind of realizing it, I have worked non-stop for the last 2 years. So I think a couple of months of break to kind of get my life in order and then start something else.
Okay, I'm talking about women empowerment. She also a female. Tanisha, Chatterjee, she's criticized, racial comments उनके पास किए गए. एक शो में गई थी जहाँ पे. उस बारे में even we met Ajay Devgan early in the morning and he was little upset what happened on the set. क्या कहना चाहेंगे आप काली हैं या आप जामुन की तरह काली हैं? कई बार sense of humor over.
Well, I think color के बारे में बोलना बहुत ही it's not right. Everybody knows that. And definitely, I'm so glad कि अभी it's becoming more. Everybody is becoming more and more aware of it. So am I becoming more and more aware of it. I have done fairness thing ad at the beginning of my career, but having said that, today if I was ever offered that, I would never do it. That I was young, one did it, needed the money, did not really think about it. But I really think we all need to think about it because we are kind of endorsing certain stereotypes which we should not be doing.
Okay, apart from this, the controversy which is around
what
Pakistani,
controversy now?
Pakistani actor working in Bollywood. What's your take on that? You belong to the industry. Crossword is a producer, director.
Yes. Well, I think what is the need of the time needs to be looked into. But I also always feel that film industry and actors are always the soft targets. So there are a lot of other things that also need to get sorted out, and I'm sure if you look at it like a business, there are a lot of other businesses also that happen, and if we are stopping business with Pakistan, then everybody needs to stop. I just don't think I would respect it if everybody stops it. I don't think just film actors or film personalities being the soft targets that they are should be targeted.
Thank you so much.
That was too honest.
Thank you.